Hello, this is Ramirez with Tidewater Renaissance Fighting Arts, and today is one of our subscribers had a question, and I figured I would try to answer that, and that is how to do your grapples as being left-handed. Now, I want to specify Oscar from Virtual Fetish Rule did a wonderful piece on one-handed weapons, so rather than retreading what he's already covered, I'm going to link his video in the description below if you're curious about that. But he really didn't cover Longsword, so I'm going to address that with this video. Once again, I'm not going to be as much addressing specific techniques in the books that are geared towards right-handed, and some of them work for lefties, but one of the problems that we have a lot of times with those types of binds is in a practical fighting situation, I find it doesn't come in. So if we do one which is kind of one guard over the other, so we come in for our attacks and go around grabbing here with the hilt, a lot of times this doesn't happen. And what I can do from here is very limited. So when I'm going to talk about our stuff that usually happens when Christine and I spar and how I deal with that situation. Now, when I do grapples, they almost never happen on the outside. So in other words, if I come in here and she counters, it's easier for us both to retract out of that situation. If we come close, everything's problematic. If I release my free arm, I'm coming around her here, and this is just very, very difficult to do. If she does the same thing, she'll see if anything, it works a little bit better for her. What I prefer, and almost always what happens in our binds, is I'm coming on the inside. This gives me the majority of her body as I come into the cut. So as I come in here, this is also what would naturally occur if we were right-handed. If I was a righty, this is what she's used to, with one small and very big difference. If we come in close, our top hands are the same, and the counters all seem to work really, really well. Because I'm left-handed, when I come in here, it becomes the exact opposite. My low hand is free, my right hand, my left hand is forward. I can easily grab these hands. And what I want to do is either push down into her body, freeing up, and even if she lets go of her free hand, her bottom hand, I have a lot more room to attempt techniques entering in from that side. I could also do the same thing, taking her bottom hand and going up. This also puts a great deal of target available to me. The main thing has to do, I think, a little bit with height. Christine's slightly taller than I am. I have a little more strength, but I'm going to talk about why that's not really relevant to this matter. If I come in and I'm close enough and her hands are forward, it's easy for me to go low and go up. I want to close that distance, though. If she backs away from me, we now have a situation where she could regain control. So I need to be able to come forward and immediately take that hit. If we come in and I drop low, this is a little more advantageous, especially if I kind of get the guard. I grab everything, and once again, what I'm trying to do is keep this close to her body. As long as her arms are mostly straight, and this is the thing about strength that I talk about, is she doesn't have any leverage. If I just have her here, she now has leverage to move her arms. But if I place this here against her, she has less leverage. And then I can simply pommel strike, cut, whatever I need to do. The same thing, if I go up, now she was significantly taller, so I'm going to get low. If I'm up here, and you notice her arms are not fully extended, and sometimes there are guys 6-something that this would be a rational situation. I'm not going to have the advantage because she's going to have mobility in her arms to get out of that situation. Fortunately, I'm only a little bit shorter. So when I go up, as high as I can here, that as long as she doesn't have significant leverage in arm length, I can go up or down. But I want to think either all the way up, grab her arms again, either all the way up is good. You know, she has some drops, but even if she lets go and drops with her lower hand, I've got the other side of the sword. Now we're wrestling that, and I still have that free hand. Normally she will counter to grab my sword. This is what happens in our grapples all the time. So we come in. If I get this, she's going to immediately release. Now, you can see how I'm crossing my position, putting my sword arm as far away as possible. This way I can get cuts above her head. It's important that when you do that technique, if I stay forward like this and she lets go of her blade, now we're going to have this wrestling match. So once I make that bind where I can reach her hands, the first thing I'm going to do is cross, bringing my right shoulder forward. This is going to make this a problem. Bam. Okay? So it's important I engage the bind on the interior side. So if this is my left, I want to be coming in from the right. This is going to give me, when we get to that ability to kind of take that shoulder and open up possibilities. I can do the same thing down or up or in. This is the last one. In to the body. Once again, the other two I talked about is when the arm is fully extended, but also when it's fully, as long as I can keep that. If she backs away, she can free her arm. If I'm close and I stay close, that's going to make it harder and to make that quick hit. None of these are terribly long-lasting. I'm not going to talk about disarms. I'm just going to talk about those. So when I get a hold, bring my right shoulder in. Bring the blade either up if someone's about your size, maybe a little taller, or bring it down. If they're significantly taller, bring it down. The other thing about that is if you're shorter, so once again, I'm going to drop my size significantly here. The more I press down, especially with my weight, now I'm bringing her to my level. Up. So if I can be lower, that's better on taller people because now she's got to use her back to kind of pull. And if I put my weight in that, that's just not happening. This does work in opposition. If we come in here and she now takes her shoulder, moving it forward towards me, but you'll notice she's having a little bit of trouble there because I'm kind of pushing forward and blocking her. The thing to remember is you can always go around your opponent. This is for the righties out there. We've done this, we did this 2 weeks ago. So when we come in, is if when I get this, she comes around me, it's a harder target to do things with. So it's kind of something to keep in mind. Someone can counter around long ways, or we can simply make sure that when we get this and we get this position, take that shoulder. So if I'm even over here down, now she tries to come around. It's too late. So that's a good thing to kind of keep in mind. All right, so once again, I'm Ramirez, this is Christine. We're both instructors here at Tidewater Renaissance Fighting Arts. We're based out of Norfolk, Virginia, and I'll see you in the next video.